So this video is about how to find a great developer on Upwork. And my name's Rob Rawson from Time Doctor. So I've been using Upwork for many years, and I've noticed a lot of people saying that they can't find great developers, that most of the developers are low quality or they have difficulty getting the project completed. There are a lot of difficulties that people have in general with outsourcing, because Upwork is mostly associated with offshore outsourcing, with hiring a developer in India. But of course, you can hire developers in the United States and around the world. But a lot of people have problems when they're using the platform. And I want to talk about how to make it work so that it really is very, very effective and you can find very high quality developers, which I have done multiple times. So what are the advantages of using Upwork? Well, firstly, it's global. What this means is that you can hire from anywhere in the world, and you're really multiplying your chances of finding someone great because you're willing to hire from any location rather than just your own city. There are a lot of people who want to work from home, and that's the primary modality of Upwork, is that they're allowing people to work from home, and that allows you to tap into a huge community of developers who want to work from home. Also, Upwork is relatively low margin, around 10%. So if you used an agency, there are many different agencies that have high quality developers such as TopTal, but those agencies are usually taking 30+%, a large margin. And so with Upwork, you're really only getting a small margin on top of their salary. So in the whole, you're getting lower rates. You're able to tap into a global talent pool and get quite low effective rates, even though you can still find, if you search effectively, great developers. But the problem is that most people don't search effectively, and we're going to talk about that a bit later. What are the disadvantages of Upwork? There are a lot of mediocre candidates and not as many very high level developers. I'm talking about developers that will really normally charge a minimum of $70, $80 an hour, that are very high level, and that are often from the United States or developed countries. There's not as many developers of that caliber on the platform. There certainly are some, but there are very, very many high quality developers from developing countries, from Russia, from Ukraine, and in many cases they can be the same quality. I mean, you look at the founders of Google, they're from Sergey Brin from Russia. I mean, you've got, obviously doesn't matter what country you're from, there are high quality developers in every country around the world. So it's also not a good option for jobs in an office. So if you're looking to hire in a specific location, there are better options. So let's start with posting the job. One of the problems that people have is that they don't talk about the specific technology. So if you just say, I want a developer to build my website, you've got no chance of finding anyone specific, high quality, etc. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find anyone that's able to do that. So you need to be very, very specific. And if you don't know the technology, that's almost like your first task, to find out what kind of technologies you should be building the website on. It's very hard for you to start from a place of not knowing absolutely anything at all. Now, if you're talking about building a WordPress site, something very simple, a very simple website, maybe you don't need to do that. But if you're talking about something more complicated, you want a sophisticated website and you don't know the technology, you're not going to find somebody great in that. You're very unlikely to. Secondly, you want to look at the rates. What are reasonable rates? If you're trying to hire someone at $3 an hour on Upwork and you want a great developer, no chance. And it's starting for good quality developers, it's usually starting at $15 an hour, although it does depend on the situation and the type of role that you're looking for. And that's obviously $15 an hour, and often if you're really looking for someone high quality, $25, $30 an hour is the minimum in a lot of cases. project versus hourly. So do you go for a project-based job versus hourly? My experience is that if you post a project, you're going to get an effective lower rate overall, but it's hard to, if you have a serious project that's very, very long term, that you want to do something very serious, you're going to have to switch to hourly at some point, because although you're getting better value, it's not going to work out for the developer, and at some stage they're going to get a little bit annoyed that they're not getting paid very much for the work that they're doing, essentially. So people will underquote and underestimate projects all of the time, and that's an advantage to you when you're posting the job, but you can't take advantage of that too long, otherwise you won't get a consistent, reliable results over a longer period of time. So next, how do you invite the candidates? Let's actually just take a look at Upwork right now and see some ideas for this. So you need to, first of all, search for candidates. So you can't expect to just post the job and then everyone will come to you. It doesn't work like that. In fact, the people that are going to apply to the job are the ones who have the time on their hands to apply to jobs. So the very good developers might not bother to apply to jobs. They probably already have a lot of good work, so they're not going to apply. So you need to search. But if you're searching, you can't use very non-specific or general terms. You need to use specific technologies. PHP, for example, is too general. You need to use the specific technology. So perhaps you know that you want to use a specific PHP framework such as Symfony, and so you could search for that, and you could search for people that have Symfony. I mean, if you just search for PHP, then you're going to get a very, very wide range of candidates. So if you search for Symfony, and then you can also then filter it down by rate, etc., to get the sort of candidate that you're looking for. And also, going back to posting a job, this is where you need to make sure that you put in all of the relevant skills. So the more skills that you put in here, the better. Again, if you just put in PHP, it's not enough. You need to know the technology, you need to put that in there. You need to be realistic about the rate. So are you looking for entry, intermediate, or expert? And we talked already whether you're going to start by a project. If you're looking for lower rates, my experience is that to start with a project is not a bad idea. But we'll also talk about how you can test multiple people a little bit later. So you can test multiple people with a short project or with hourly. Notice if you do post per project, you're going to get less people interested, because they do know that it's difficult for them to really satisfy the customer on a project basis, because projects can they always take a lot longer than you initially expect. So the downside is if you do post by project, then you know that you're going to exclude a lot of developers, and yes, you're going to get a lower rate overall, most likely, but you are going to exclude developers. So if you have the budget, you should consider going hourly. So let's go back to my presentation now and check some of the other points that I wanted to cover. So searching and inviting, you need to invite a lot of people. So you just invite 2 or 3 people, that's not enough. They might not be available, you don't know their situation, you can't expect everyone that you invite to be interested in your job. You need to take massive action, which means inviting at the absolute minimum 20 people. And if it's a more general kind of category, I'd suggest inviting 100 people, so you really get a big, broad reach of applicants. And how do you then go and select the candidates? So this is a crucial thing, and if you're not a developer, it's difficult because you don't know who the person and if they are a good developer. HackerRank is something that I've used. It's actually a selection tool to find very high quality developers. It's been used by Facebook, so I recommend that as a tool. But also I recommend selecting multiple people, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a second. And I also recommend not to go just for ratings. So the situation where I would go for just ratings is when you're trying to select someone just for a project. You don't want any hassle. It's a short-term project. You just want it done. You don't want to bother with it. In that case, just go with someone that has a lot of ratings, that has experience, etc. And that person, because they have the ratings, is more likely to follow through for you. They're more likely to continue with the project. They're going to be more consistent and reliable if they have multiple positive ratings. Although that certainly doesn't guarantee it, it does make it a lot more consistent. If you are looking for someone more long term, don't go for ratings, because the people that have ratings already have multiple clients. They may not be dedicated to you. If you're looking for someone full term, definitely don't go for ratings. Also, that the very good developers, they're not out there sitting on Upwork all the time trying to get work. So they may not have any ratings. It doesn't mean that they're no good. It just means that they haven't been sitting on Upwork and trying to get work on Upwork. But if you are going for someone that doesn't have ratings, that means one level of selection is gone, and you have to go with other methods of selecting people. And so that is either you know how to select people technically, or I would say an even better method that I've found to be effective most of the time is really selecting multiple people or multiple hires. So why do we do that? The reason is because hiring on Upwork and hiring remotely is completely different to hiring someone in an office, to hiring a long-term person that comes into your office. It's a completely different phenomenon. The person is working from home, they're on the other side of the world. You have no idea about their situation. They may be working another job. They may be have no commitment to you, or their situation might change. They might get sick. There's all of these reasons why it cannot work out. So you're overcoming those reasons, and the reason why you're overcoming them is because you're getting a great rate, you're getting potentially really great people. But the problem is that if you just select one person, you've got a high probability that it's not going to work. So what I do most of the time is that I hire multiple people. Now, if you're serious and you have the budget, now obviously that's going to cost more money. So if you don't have the money, if you don't have the budget, then you're not going to be able to do that, or you're going to have to do it for a very short period. But if you do have the budget, this is an amazing way to find someone great, because you can literally hire 5 people or 2 people for the same job, and you can see who does the job the fastest with the best quality, that gets the job done really well. And that is extremely effective in my view at finding someone that is going to be reliable, that is going to be great, it's going to be fast, it's going to be effective, etc. So you need redundancy. So I couldn't recommend strongly enough multiple hires method, although it will cost you more in the very beginning. And you can't really expect people to work for free for several hours. You can try that, and some people will on Upwork, but more legitimately, you'd actually pay for those hours, even though you're testing them during those hours. So lastly, let's just consider a few options outside of Upwork. These are Stack Overflow. It's a great place to post jobs. Freelancer.com is another site that's competing with Upwork, and Staff.com is declaring it's actually our site, so that's another site where you can hire remote people. And LinkedIn is obviously a huge platform and a great way to find people. So that's a few different options and ways to find great developers on Upwork, and I hope that that's successful for you. You can always find me on Time Doctor, and you can ask me any other questions that you do have by contacting me through timedoctor.com. Thank you.